That's Lorraine. Hi, Lorraine.
Yes.
How are you?
Hi.
I have two devices connected this evening because last week one of them
That's Lorraine. Hi,
had a
Lorraine.
temper, had a temporary fail. So I'm using a backup.
Okay.
Okay.
I have two devices connected this evening because last
Let me say hi to Roberto and also Lenworth. I can see you guys are on.
Yes, I'm here, Roberto. Thank you, a pleasure.
Hi. Yes, glad to have you.
I'll post it to the email shortly, DP Stewart.
Okay. Is it easy for you to also put it in the chat from now?
At the moment, I'm really looking at something else. I'd prefer if you dealt with that for me. All right. I'm sending it to your Stewart@gmail.com.
Okay.
And for persons who are advised by WhatsApp, would you be able to send that link to WhatsApp?
I'm sending it to DP Stewart, so he will handle that for me.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll be able to put it on WhatsApp.
Yeah. Director Newton will do the vote of thanks, right?
Yes, that's correct.
So he will share the certificate.
He has them, so he should, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Could just requesting for you to display the agenda.
Yes, I'll do that shortly.
Yes, so that I can just do a photograph of it.
DP, have you seen the link?
I'm going in now. Yeah, yeah. I've seen it now.
Okay, good.
Good.
Where is my clothespin?
President, here's the agenda.
Yes. Thank you. Let me just get an image of it here. If you can just scroll down for me. Yeah. Thank you.
President, you're okay with the agenda there?
Yes, I'm fine.
All right, I'm gonna take it down so we can see each other a little better.
Yes.
All right. Let me, David Twaits. May I see you?
You need to. One moment, let me turn on the camera.
All right.
Yes.
I'll go.
Hello.
David. Right. Welcome, David.
Thank you.
Welcome. Lorraine Levy now. Let me see Lorraine.
Hi, good evening.
Here.
Right. Welcome, Lorraine.
Thank you.
And Lenworth Kelly.
Yes.
Kelly.
Mhm.
We're getting some feedback. I'm not sure from which instrument.
I am hearing it,
Yes. So
I'm testing.
Oh, it's
Another feed,
from
so it's
your
okay.
side, BP Stewart,
Yeah,
because I
yeah.
thought I had exited.
yes.
All
Yeah.
right. Okay. All right. Lenworth Kelly. Let me see Lenworth.
Yes. Lenworth.
Right. Welcome, Lenworth. And Roberto. How do you pronounce your surname?
Villarreal.
Villa Real, but Villarreal, it's okay.
Villarreal. Okay.
Real. Okay. Good. Thanks. Welcome, everyone.
Thank you.
Villarreal.
Of course, welcome to all our guests, but welcome to all attendants, participants. But in a short while, the formal welcome will be done. Okay.
Well, it's good that he can satisfy the cement demand.
Michael Archer.
Yes.
Welcome, sir.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon. Nice to see you.
Hi, Mike.
Hi.
Thought you'd have had a highway behind you.
That looks like food. I see pumpkin and
Green bananas.
let me see what I'm seeing in the background there now. I'm seeing yes, pumpkin and the works, agricultural produce. Yes. All right.
Well, they have to be delivered by roads.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. We'll just wait until Stuart confirms his readiness, and then you can let me know you're ready to proceed.
Okay. In the meantime, President, I'll just put up the national anthem, eh?
Yes.
Okay, good. DB Stewart, you saying something?
Yeah. No, I was just saying that I don't think I think we should go a little bit by say 7:05. Should aim for about 7:05.
Yeah, I don't think the president really wants to start yet, but
yeah.
I just want to know when you're ready. Yeah.
I'm gonna try and I put it in the chat already and in the group. I'm gonna put it in some more groups, and then some of the individuals as well in case.
Okay. Welcome, UDC.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Bachelor.
Yes, yeah, the room is coming up to capacity. We're at 59 or 52. Mhm.
Whenever you're ready, President.
Okay.
No, it's not. Jeez, jeez.
Maurice Burnside, welcome, welcome, Maurice. Nice to see you.
Thanks, Mr. Bachelor.
From Toronto.
Yes.
Pleasure to be here, man.
Is Roy with us?
Roy was the one who told me about it, so he's
Okay.
he invited me.
Yes.
Yes.
That Royal George.
Yes.
All right. Whenever you're ready, President Richard.
Okay.
Don't rush it. Don't rush it.
Okay. So, DP Stewart.
Yeah.
You put it in the WhatsApp group?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, I'll just do a quick circulation.
I'll repost it periodically in this chat group.
Yes.
President Joshua from Michael. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well, sir.
All right. Welcome. Welcome.
Thank you, sir.
President Suzette.
Hi, DP Desmond. How are you doing?
I am great. Welcome. Nice to have you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Hi, President Reese. How are you, sir?
Yes. Good evening. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, fellow Kiwanians and guests.
Good evening. Good evening.
Good evening.
To you. Good evening.
I see P.E. Emilio.
Yes, we are here. You know, we're here in our numbers, always ready to participate in this meeting. So, you know, always here to support.
Yes, sir. Welcome, welcome, as usual. Sir Roy Scarlett, nice to see you, sir. I don't know why I'm not hearing you, Roy. Roy, not hearing you.
Not hearing me?
Your audio level is at about strength 2. Barely. Yes. Give us a mic check.
President Pat. Welcome, President Pat.
Thank you, DP Desmond. Happy to be here.
Nice to have you.
Yes.
All right. Let me.
Okay. We're going to proceed. Fellow Kiwanians and guests, this meeting of the Kiwanis Club of Kingston is hereby called to order. I now invite everyone to stand for the singing of the playing of the national anthem.
Oh dear. Yes, I stand up too.
Okay, President.
Yes. Before proceeding with our agenda, I just ask that everyone mute their microphones, and when speaking, definitely turn on your video. And after during the presentation, questions can be put in the chat. So we'll now proceed with our agenda. I invite President-elect Paul Peart to lead us in the objects of Kiwanis International. Over to you, President-elect.
Thank you very much, President Richard. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Objects of Kiwanis International, to give primacy to the human and spiritual rather than to the material values of life, to encourage the daily living of the golden rule in all human relationships, to promote the adoption and the application of higher social, business, and professional standards, to develop by precept and an example a more intelligent, aggressive, and serviceable citizenship, to provide through Kiwanis Club a practical means to form enduring friendship, to render altruistic service, and to build better communities, to cooperate in creating and maintain that sound public opinion and high idealism which make possible the increase of righteousness, justice, patriotism, and goodwill.
Thank you. Our invocation will be led by DLG and our Secretary, William Reeson. Over to you.
Thank you, President Richard. Fellow Kiwanians, I guess, may bow your heads. Heavenly Father, help us remember that we are here to serve, not to be served. Remind us daily of the many who need to be helped. Guide us to be there for others and assist them in times of need. And now bless the President and the members of the club, visiting Kiwanians, members of the service leader program, and guests. Inspire the panelists in their panel discussion this evening. This and other mercies we ask in your precious name. Amen.
Amen.
President Richard, just a minute. DP Stewart, or everybody could hear the national anthem instrumentally played?
Yes, we did.
Yes.
Everybody could hear. So we were concerned as to. I have to mute
yes.
DNG Trevor. Right, DP Stewart, they could hear. So maybe the problem is from your side.
1 second. Hold on 1 second.
You're the
What
moderator.
you're saying? What were you saying?
They could hear the national anthem, but you couldn't hear
DP
it.
Earl is saying, I could hear you. I could hear what's going on. I was also watching on YouTube to see how that link has come up. But what DP Earl was just saying, he wasn't hearing anything, even though he can see everything. I'm not sure
Oh,
why.
DP Earl. Okay. Well, the feedback so far is that others were able to hear. So maybe the problem is from his side.
That's what I suspect.
All right. Thank you. Over to you, President Richard.
I'm going to again refer him to SMS, because that's where I get my support. Okay. In my opening remarks, I'll just again remind everyone of our guidelines for the meeting. We have several panelists who will present, and in order to regulate the question and answer session, we'll be guided by the chat, and then thereafter any live questions. I'm going to hand over to DP Desmond, who will bring us to welcome and introduce members and visiting clubs. And once again, I ask that you silence all microphones, DP Desmond, and then we'll allow the persons acknowledging the welcome to respond. Over to you.
Thank you, President Richard. Good evening again, everyone, and welcome to this, our meeting, when we will discuss the situation as far as the real estate, whether it is real, whether it is sustainable, and so we'll hear from the experts in the field. Welcome. Let me start with those visitors from overseas. Let me start with our overseas visiting clubs. Roy Scarlett, you're here?
Me?
Overseas
Hello?
visiting clubs, yes? Can you introduce yourself and your delegation?
My name is Roy Scarlett from the Kiwanis Club of Toronto, Caribbean. I think I have Director Letna and guest Maurice Burnside.
Thank you. Thank you, Roy. Welcome and your delegation. Do we have other visiting clubs from overseas? No? Okay, let us go to Division 25. Locally, Division 25, do we have visiting clubs from Division 25? Division 24, do we have from Division 24? No? Let me go to Division 23 West. Division 23 West.
Good evening, DP Desmond.
Good evening.
This is President Nordia here from the Kiwanis Club of Greater Portmore. It's
Welcome.
always a pleasure to be in your midst. And I'm only seeing one other member with me on so far, but I know that others will be joining. Thanks for the invite and happy to be a part of your meeting. Thank you.
Great to have you, as usual, President Nadia. Welcome on your delegation.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Any others from Division 23 West?
Good evening, DP Desmond.
Good evening, President. Go ahead.
President Janet, bringing you greetings from the Kiwanis Club of the Sunshine City, Portmore. There is competition this evening. So I'm here alone, but I expect at least 3 other members to come on. And when they come on, I'll put it in the chat. But it's good to be here. I look forward to the presentations this evening.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. We appreciate
You're
it.
welcome.
Welcome to you and your delegation.
Yes, thank you.
Do we have others?
Yes.
Go, President Lillian.
All right.
Good evening, DP Desmond. This is President Lillian from Kiwanis Club of the First City. I have with me our DLG Christine. A few of our other members should be on later. Thank you for the invite.
Thank you, President Lillian. Welcome and your delegation. Nice to have you as usual.
Good evening, DP Desmond. You know you have to let ladies go first, right? This is P.E. Emilio.
Yes, P.E. Emilio.
Of the Kiwanis Club of Diverse Professionals, Portmore Pines. We have 4 persons presently. We have 2 members and 2 prospects. Online, we have the Moneyman Treasurer Wayne, myself. We have Anne-Marie Virgo, our prospect, and Camille Christie, one of our newest prospects as well. And we're happy to be here. Can't wait to hear your speakers this evening, and thank you for the invite.
Happy to have you, P. Emilio, and your delegation. Always nice to have you, sir.
Good evening, Kiwanians.
Good evening, DP Marianne.
It's my pleasure to be a part of your meeting, which I always enjoy. At the moment, I'm alone, but I'm expecting other members to join, and I will indicate in the chat. Thank you very much for inviting us to your meeting.
Thank you, DP Marianne. Always happy to have you. All right. We look forward to having your other members, your delegation. Thank you. Do we have other visiting clubs? Division 23 West?
Good evening, President Desmond.
Good evening.
I am DP Hector Peart from the Kiwanis Club of Spanish Town.
Welcome, DP Hector.
I want to personally thank my friend Willie for inviting me, fellow realtor.
Thank you. Thanks for coming, sir. Welcome.
Yeah, thanks for the invitation.
Do we have DP Christopher here too? DA Christopher?
Not at this time.
Not as yet. All right. Do we have others from 23 West? 23 West, yes? No, if not, we go to 23 East. 23 East?
Good evening again, DP Desmond, fellow Kiwanians, guests, and SLPs. I am President Suzette from the Kiwanis Club of South for St. Andrew. With me this evening, I do have Kiwanians, Jennifer, Christine, Jada, and I have 2 prospects joining your meeting this evening, Laura and Sandra. We are looking forward to a rather informative meeting as it relates to real estate. And of course, we do say thanks for the invitation. Have a wonderful evening.
And thank you too. Thank you for coming. Always happy to have you with us and your delegation. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Do we have others from 23 East?
Yes. Good evening, President Nikita here from the Kiwanis Club of Worthington, Kingston, with a delegation of 6 being DLG Eileen, Secretary LaShawn, PD Simone, DS Diane, and Treasurer Designate Marjorie. So happy to be here. Thanks for the special invite, DLG Willie, and looking forward to an informative meeting. Thanks for having us.
Thank you, President Nikita. Nice to have you and your delegation.
Good evening.
Go ahead, Judith, Director Judith.
Yeah, good evening, fellow Kiwanians and guests. I am Kiwanian Judith Francis, bringing you warm greetings from the Kiwanis Club of New Kingston. Currently, we are 3 in number. Myself, Kiwanian Sandra Logan, and Kiwanian Olive McNaughton. Looking forward to an informative and interested meeting. Thanks for having us.
Thank you, PD Judith. Nice to have you and your delegation from New Kingston. Thank you for coming. Do we have others?
Good evening, DP Desmond, President Richard. This is DLG live from the Kiwanis Club of Downtown Kingston. I'm pleased to bring you greetings from President Kwame and the members of your sons, Downtown Kingston. I'm a lone soldier at this point in time, but very interesting topic. I look forward to joining and participating in what I am sure will be a very enlightening meeting.
Thank you, DLG Lloyd. Nice to have you, sir. Nice to have you, as always. And do we have others from 23 East? No? Let's go to Central. 23 Central. I see, okay, 23 Central. President Nadia, you wanted to say something from 23 West?
Yes, I was, yes, DP.
Go ahead.
I was just saying that we have 4 members on now, DP Jen, Assistant Secretary Andrea, PD Annette, and myself.
Thank you. Thank you. Welcome on your delegation. Okay, let's go back to 23 Central. 23 Central, do we have others?
Hi, DP Desmond. Good evening again.
Good evening, DP Pat.
This is Pat Bowen, President Pat Bowen this time, from the Kiwanis Club of Constant Spring. And there are 7 of us this evening. I won't go through the numbers, but I'm sure we're all happy to be here and looking forward to a very interesting meeting.
Happy to have you as always and your delegation. Welcome. Okay, do we have others from 23 Central? 23 Central, do we have other clubs, visiting clubs? No? All right, let me go to prospective members. I know we have prospective members, Dora and Sandra already. But do we have, welcome Dora, welcome Sandra. Nice to have you. Let me hear for other prospective members. Do we have other prospective Kiwanians?
Yes, good evening, DP Desmond. PE Paul here. Yes, prospective member Dr. Andrew Burton, prospective member for the Kiwanis Club of Kingston is joining us this evening. And also guest Brandon Ferguson.
Thank you, PE Paul and your prospective members. I'm going to ask us to turn on our cameras, you see?
Yes.
So we can better connect with us. Is my camera on? Yes, my camera on. So I make sure mine is on before I make any such request.
Yes, DP. I have to compliment PE Paul. Tonight I have a prospect, Mr. O'Neill McDonald, who is in the house, and I extend a special welcome to him. That's a prospect for the Kiwanis Club of Kingston.
Welcome, O'Neill. All right, nice to have you, sir. I hope you enjoy your stay with us this evening.
DP Desmond, I just want to interject with something.
Yes.
Okay, we have already hit the 100, right?
Yes.
And nobody's yet on YouTube. So I wanted to just indicate that if anybody had a friend and they were trying to, what we had put on the flyer was go to the Desmond Bachelor channel. And just what I've found is that it's very easy. Once you just put in Desmond Bachelor into the YouTube search, you will go and you click on, you'll see the name Desmond Bachelor come up. You click on it, and once you click on it, you will see the screen of the current meeting. You just have to click live, because otherwise it won't do anything. It will stay frozen. You all have to just click live. So this is how you can, those who are in the meeting, who know people who are outside and trying to get in, just help them to get in by that method.
And
they don't need to use the link.
And also I've put the link in the chat. All right.
Right. The link is there, but if they don't have the link, they can always, that's how they can get it easily.
Right.
Or get on. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there other prospective members? No?
DP Desmond, I did introduce my 2 prospects. This is President Suzette, Laura, and Sandra from the Kiwanis Club of Laura, right, and Sandra, right, from the Kiwanis Club of South St. Andrew. And so they're here learning all about Kiwanis and how we fellowship and how we give information and interact.
Actually, I recognize them and Sandra, but I said...
and I need to say to one of my members who is on, that's Marcia Kiwanian. Marcia, she was the first one to be in the meeting, so I want to make my apologies. She's in the delegation as well.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thanks.
Don't St. Andrew, yes. Okay, are there other prospective members before I go on to SLPs? No? Let's go on to SLPs. I see President Joshua from Michael University College.
Good night, everyone. This is President Joshua from the Michael University College Circle K International Club. And here with me, not on Zoom, but on a phone call, is District Secretary Diana Denton, and we are happy to be here.
Welcome, sir. Happy to have you and this Diana. Always happy to have Michael. Circle K. Thank you. Do we have other SLPs? No other SLPs? And I go to...
Good evening. I am KRO Alex Gray from the Kingston College Key Club, and here with me tonight is KRO-elect Courtney Palmer. Looking forward to a good meeting.
Welcome, Alex. Welcome. Is your presenter is okay? Nicholas Giles.
He's not on at the moment, but yes, he's all right.
Right. Welcome, Kiaro, Alex, and your delegation. Okay, do we have other SLPs? Let me move to guests of Kiwanian.
Hello.
Okay, go ahead, President Abanik from Dunoon. President Abanik.
Go ahead, Arania.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. Good evening, Arania.
My name is Arania Thomas, President-elect from Dunoon Park Technical High School, and we're 6 in number.
Great. Thank you, PE Arania. Nice to have you. Welcome to Dunoon Park Technical High School Clee Club, as always. All right, and your delegation.
Hello.
Okay.
Hello, good evening.
Oh, DS Diana.
Am I being heard?
I'm hearing you.
Hi. Okay, wonderful. Good evening to you all. This is District Secretary Diana Denton for the Caribbean District of Circle K International. And okay, I see that President Joshua already introduced us. But I look forward to this wonderful meeting and topic.
Thank you, DS Diana. Nice to have you.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Shade Leachman here from Stats FA. And the rest of the members will join you soon. I'm looking forward to a great meeting.
Thank you for coming.
You're welcome.
Your president here?
Not as yet.
Okay. Thank you for coming as always. Yes.
You're welcome.
All right. Do we have other faculty advisors, SLPs with us? Let me go to guests of Kiwanians. Guests of Kiwanians.
EP Desmond.
Yes, sir.
Let me extend a very...
Orania, can you mute your microphone, please? Orania Thomas, please mute your microphone. Yes.
EP Desmond, let me take this opportunity to extend a very special welcome to all the realtors and real estate associates who have responded to our invitation to attend this panel discussion this evening.
All right. Yes. Let me just
mention they enjoy themselves.
Let me just mention them, DLG Willie. Of course, thanks to David Thwaites, Managing Director of David Thwaites and Associates. Welcome, David Thwaites. Lorraine Levy-Finlayson, CEO, Valerie Levy and Associates. Thank you for coming. Welcome.
Thank you.
Leonard Kelly, Director, Nubian Construction Company. Thank you for coming. Welcome. Roberto, Commercial Director, Cement Company. Nice to have you all. Let me just say thank you to all of you, our panelists this evening, for being with us, for gracing us with your presence. All right, I'll go back to the guests of all our guests of Kiwanians and guests of SLPs.
DP Desmond.
Yes, sir.
If you'll allow me, I'd like to welcome Mr. and Mrs. Ramon Harris.
Go ahead,
who have joined us on YouTube. As you know, Mr. Harris is come next month. He won't be a prospect. He will be a member of the Kiwanis Club of Kingston.
Thank you. Welcome, Mr. Harris. Nice to have you. All right. Thank you, Director Newton. Do we have guests of SLPs? No? Okay. Well, let me just say at this time, welcome again to all our panelists. Welcome to all our members of the Kiwanis Club of Kingston. And of course, To those who didn't get the chance to introduce themselves, welcome. We're happy to have you. I wish for us a very interesting meeting this evening. President Richard, over to you, sir.
Thank you. We have no apologies for absence, so I'll now hand over to Director and Bulletin Editor, Newton Ramdale, for recognition of birthdays and anniversaries. Over to you, Newton.
Okay, thank you, President Richard. And let me apologize now for not having my camera on. Not all backgrounds are appropriate for the video lights. So this week, our special occasions on the 21st of April, which is tomorrow, Elsie, who is the wife of PC Carrington Grant, will be celebrating her birthday. And on the 26th of April, which is Monday, both DP Charles Sims and past chairman Dr. John Soas will be celebrating their birthday. So DP Charles Sims and Dr. John Soas will celebrate their birthday on the 26th. Tomorrow is the birthday of Elsie, wife of PC Carrington Grant. Thank you, President Richard. If there's anyone listening to us right now or who have joined us who is celebrating a special occasion, we now invite them to let us know so we can celebrate along with them.
President Lillian from Kiwanis Club of the First City. I celebrated my birthday on Friday.
Okay, President Lillian, we're so happy for you. I was about to ask President Richard to sing, but then I think better than that. So let's just say happy birthday. Hope you're celebrating for the entire month.
I sure am. Thank you so much.
Okay, great. Anybody else want to share a special day with us? Okay, I know nobody wants to be held up any longer because you're waiting on some great speakers. So back to you, President Richard.
Thank you. To make introduction and to moderate this section, I now hand over to DP Stuart Spencer, Chairman Meetings Committee. Over to you, DP Stuart. Remember to unmute your microphone.
Yes, thank you. Yes, good evening again, President Richard. This evening, we are, I think, fortunate to have assembled a panel of distinguished persons in their own field who are going to help us to understand, is the real estate boom for real? The format will be that I'm going to ask each of them to take 2 to 3 minutes to just give their overall perspective. And afterwards, then we'll get into the discussion. But we have with us David Thwaites. Now, this information has already been communicated, so I'll just make it short. He's the managing director of David Thwaites and Associates, and they are essentially valuators. We have Lorraine Levy-Finlayson, the CEO of Valerie Levy and Associates, and they are essentially brokers. We have with us also Roberta Villarreal, who is the commercial director of the Carib Cement Company, and also Lenworth Kelly, who is the president of the Incorporated Master Builders Association, a director of Nubian Construction, and also a distinguished president of the Kiwanis Club of Ligani. So he is part of the family. So I'm going to start by, it's conventional that we start and we say ladies first. I'm not going to break that convention. And I'm going to invite Lorraine to make the opening salvo. I have no idea whether whether you are pro or for or against, but we just want the perspective because we want to learn tonight. So Lorraine, over to you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Spencer. This has...
Stuart is fine. Stuart is fine.
Okay, thank you, Stuart. Thank you for having me. Happy to be on the panel. All right, so you had asked me a question, is the real estate bubble going to burst, and is the real estate boom really real? So I will say to both, I will say it's very real. It has been very real for quite some years. Any bubble can burst, but I do feel that we still have quite a bit of time before that happens. If it happens at all, Jamaica is unique. It's always been unique when it comes to real estate. Sometimes other countries are not doing so great, but this definitely is an indication right now that we have a very vibrant real estate market. You can see all of the apartments going up, the townhouses going up. People wonder if it's too much. We have not seen a downturn in prices. We have not seen any sort of indication that people do not want to continue to purchase as they have been purchasing. What I would say is that we do have an oversupply of inventory where rentals are concerned. So where people were buying for investments, we are finding that we do have a lot of rental units on the market. A factor of that as well is also COVID that came in. And so the shorter term rentals, the Airbnb rentals, that definitely took a hit last year and the beginning of this year. But we see where that is coming back, where people are starting to get vaccinated and traveling again. Slowly but surely we'll get back to normal. But lots of indications that the market is doing well, and why it's doing well in my estimation is that the mortgage rates for the last few years have been the lowest that they have been in a long time. NHT rates, they went up per lender. They also had their lowest interest rates, and people were doing dual mortgages, NHT along with other financial institutions. So I find that that has really increased the people who are purchasing, young professionals, people starting out, who's purchasing these properties. We also have pension funds that are purchasing multiple properties for their portfolios. And those are some of the indications of why I feel that it's not going to burst just yet, because there is a lot of money in Jamaica. People have done very well in the stock market over the last some years. Our stock market is very vibrant. And I feel that real estate is always the best investment, and Jamaicans do realize that. And with the pandemic as well, we're finding that people are happy to be here in Jamaica. There are a lot of overseas Jamaicans living overseas who want to come back to Jamaica. Also with what's happening in the United States, with the elections last year, we found that a lot of people really just wanted to come home. So all of those factors are why I feel that the market is so vibrant and it will continue like this.
Okay, thank you very much, Lorraine. I'm gonna go next to David Thwaites. David, what is your perspective?
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Well, my perspective is taken from an appraiser evaluator's standpoint, and also from someone who does market analysis for that purpose. And essentially, I have to agree with Lorraine. It is and has been a difficult time for us as valuers to write valuations. Mainly because the market is moving faster than the numbers that we are seeing. And so in order to keep up with it, we literally have to rely on up to the time information, some of it that, we also look at, historic data in order to form our opinions. But, the movement is rapid. We are, for certain property types, particularly in the Kingston or in the corporate area, we are seeing some really impressive adjustments year on year. Now, I mean, we're looking at fundamentals elsewhere, but I mean, I suppose because this is a Kiwanis Club of Kingston meeting, I would speak to Kingston and perhaps the Southeast. And in this region, I mean, we're seeing the build out in residential, which I could speak on some more. But specifically with regard to what everyone sees and thinks of as the boom, which are multi-story apartment buildings in Kingston 6, Kingston 8, Kingston 10, and Kingston 5, which are the really the hotspots for that. Yes, the market is growing, and prices are growing, and values are growing. To be a bit controversial, I think that this boom had started from perhaps back in the 90s when the National Housing Corporation put hundreds of units into the Kingston market in schemes or complexes such as College Green, Wellington Glades, infill developments in Mona, some in Maryvale, a lot of development done by Astrom. And not to be forgotten, Long Mountain, which was 600 units that was sold with one advertisement. That is the strength of this Kingston market. What we're seeing now is not even nearly as many units as what came on in that time. In aggregate, what we're seeing now are some high value, high price units. That's impressive to look at, but from a numbers standpoint, we haven't hit hundreds of units coming on the market, you know, in this present surge of construction. So I'm just putting that into perspective. So, in as much as we may perceive it as a boom, it's business as normal. It's business as usual. Middle income and lower income are being, well, certainly lower income is priced out of the market in the corporate area now, by and large. And there is St. Catherine and Clarendon, and there's rapid development taking place there at that income level, or at those income levels, and there's a whole lot in the pipeline. So to sort of overlay what Lorraine has said, mortgage rates have remained low. People are qualifying for these loans and they're coming on the market. Interestingly, when I canvass my clients who do financing, which I do from time to time, I did it recently, they are seeing a rise in defaults, but not so much to destabilize them. And so, you know, going forward, you know, the boom will probably reduce to just a loud noise and probably to just a hum, but it will be humming along before it will rise again or make more noise. So that's my opening piece.
Okay, David, thanks. And remember, although it's the Kiwanis of Kingston, we have Kiwanians from all over Jamaica. So you can always consider the whole island when you're talking about any aspect of the market.
Yeah.
I would like to call on Lenworth Kelly for him to give his overall perspective as the developer among us.
Thank you, Stuart. I certainly agree with what Lorraine and David have shared. I just want to kind of bring some numbers to the discussion. Am I being heard?
Yes.
Yeah, we're hearing you. We're hearing you.
Okay. All right.
You're hearing you fine.
I kind of want us to go back at some numbers. Now, I think back in 2019, the National Housing Policy highlighted a need for 15,000 new housing units per year up to 2030. That would put us somewhere in the region of at least 150,000 new. And it was intended that production at the time would need to ramp up by at least 5,000 units per year to try and meet this based on where we were. And these are nothing new. As a youngster in the industry back in about the mid-90s, there were some numbers bandied about. We needed 10,000 houses per year for at least 10 years to satisfy the current demand. And I think this was about 1993. That didn't happen in any given year. And remember, demand would increase as we go along. So the most recent study has reflected we shot by anywhere between 150,000 to 200,000 units. Add to that also that you need to address, like, the qualitative deficit. You would need to replace about 2,000 units per year, because you have various units in various stages. Like most of us who either know construction or are from prior generation would know of NAG houses, and the more we have seismic effects, those houses can rattle and come apart. You need to replace those. So the issue is that there is need, there's great need, but there's a gap between need and demand. Now we know, yes, there's demand for what is being built, but the need is much, much, much greater. The central to that gap, however, is affordability. And just to share with you some statistics about the same, there's a study between UTech and the Sir Arthur Lewis Institute of, I believe it's some economic research studies at UA, Salises, I believe it is. 53% of those who need housing could not afford anything above $6 million. Anything priced above $6 million. Salises, thank you, Sir Reese. So we're talking about more than half of the population cannot afford a housing unit above $6 million. They need housing. It's critical to them. Only 16% could afford housing above 8 million. So we as a matter of fact, the 53% could afford between 3 million and 6 million. So there's a constituency of those in need who can't afford anything above 3 million. We have to be mindful of this. So I kind of just hope that we can expand our thinking and perhaps encourage the Kiwanis Club of Kingston and perhaps other Kiwanis clubs to let us open the discussion further in other fora in your own club meetings to see how we address, because we're going to have an issue. Yes, we know there's a boom. There's a boom for units in a particular, for those who are in a particular income category, for those who can afford it. Most young professionals I know cannot afford any of these new offerings. You're talking about a one-bedroom unit for 18 million. Their salary, they can't even begin to think about that. Most persons can't think of owning anything decent until perhaps they're into their 40s. And these are some of the things we are seeing. And so that's on the housing side. On the commercial side, there is demand. There's demand for warehouse space and also warehouse with office. There's a lot of that going on. Where we operate down in Lyndhurst Road and below, we're seeing there's there's take up of properties there for strictly for commercial. We know of the Eastwood Park Gardens and the Richmond Park, those areas that have been invaded for years now with commercial enterprises. However, there is need for structured commercial for office spaces for professionals and so on. So certainly we are aware of demand and some offerings that are being developed below Crossroads. So so the demand is there for that. And we personally, we have some space and we have some small offices and attendant warehouse space, and the warehouse space just went just like that. People are clamoring to get it. So for those who are looking to develop, I would want to encourage you that you look also into commercial space and look also eastwards and downtown. The government really need to have some concrete plans in place to encourage private developers to develop those areas. Those areas need redevelopment, so to speak. So to encourage private developers to go into some of those areas, I can offer some incentives for more that happen. I know that there are current programs, but they can step up on that so that we can offer. Critical in all of this, in closing, is government needs to get serious about taking care of those in the lowest income brackets. We talk about wanting to pay people minimum wages and that kind of thing. Then we're going to have to be able to create housing for them, because what we're going to end up with is a lot of urban blight, a lot of squatting. And so you're going to see juxtaposed with your nice high rise, you're going to see something that probably looks like a slum. So we want to look at this thing in a holistic manner, but certainly agreeing the demand for these new apartments coming onto the market has not eased. We also are surprised at that. The affordability exchange rate, a lot of persons from the diaspora are buying. My concern is when I drive around at nights, you realize that there are not many lights on in many of these complexes. And if I take a quote from the president of the NWC, he says, yes, there are a ton of apartments being added, but he has seen no increase in the NWC's revenue. I think that is telling. So that's my two-piece, Stuart.
Thank you, Len. That is something that we're going to come back to. But at this point, for the perspective of the man who is responsible for, or who plays a key role in the person, in the company that supplies the cement that we need for all this construction, I'm going to ask Roberto to give his input at this stage.
Okay, thank you very much. Really a pleasure to be here. So in this case, I would just like to add some feedback from what Lenroy was mentioning. I believe he's completely right. There's a huge need that should give and should guide the continuous growing in the next years, but through the affordable housing. As he was mentioning, most of the, or the biggest amount of that need of housing is for an affordable housing. So I believe that the efforts should be also guided into that regard, which with the government program that is actively trying to seek alternatives for that to happen. So I believe that that's one of the positive forecasts that we can see in the near future. Aside from that, I can confirm from the numbers that we have that this year has started really good, better than last year, quarter to quarter. So even as David was mentioning, yes, in a certain way, is business as usual. It's a reality that right now there's a specific booming, but between housing, where we see the big complex in Kingston, the high-rise buildings, and some also all over the island, we see a lot of housing projects happening in Spanish Town area. also some of them in Mandeville, happening big ones, Montego Bay area. So we see the boom. We see it's happening all over the place. And it's not just big complex, it's also people that is, adding the second room to their house. So that's also what we have been watching, an increase in, adding the second room or the third room and expanding their starting units. So that's one of the things that also we have been recognizing and see an important increase. It's clear that there's some uncertainty because of COVID. We know that the last big hit that we got was last April of 2020 with the lockdown when that happened. We know that April this year, things were starting to be, with some restrictions, but the good thing is that it seems that the restrictions have been in a certain way being a little bit more flexible. So this has been making able for the jobs to continue, the job sites and the work to continue. So in that regard, I believe that at least for the rest of the year, this thing should continue. But after that, it's still hard to say, just according to how the COVID and after COVID situation can behave. But yes, it's a reality that the numbers are higher than before. And we see it everywhere. We see buildings happening. Yes, some of the projects is a reality that some of them replace a previous project, or is a third or fourth phase from a project that has already happened before. So in a certain way, not all of them are completely new additional volumes, but yes, are additional units. So in this case, I do agree that some of the fundamentals have been showing us that there's more remittances coming from overseas, as it was mentioned that, there's the willingness from Jamaicans overseas to continue investing here in Jamaica, maybe because they plan to come back, or also because they want to continue investing here in the island, as their place of origin. So we see this happening in our numbers. It's clear, and we, at least from our side, we expect this to continue at least until the rest of the year, and upcoming projects are happening.
Okay, thank you, Roberto. I think a couple of things are coming through in terms of what we agree on. I'm gonna just read an article. Well, not the whole article, of course, but just an excerpt from something I read, which was in the let me just see if I can put my hand on it. It was in the Observer, and it's really from 2019. So it's from July, middle of 2019, where a broker, and it's a namesake, well, half kind of a namesake of Lorraine, because this person's name is Anya Levy. And it was herself and Peter Russo were making some comments. And one of the things they said, now this is in 2019, and the quote that caught my eye was that there's a chronic oversupply of apartments, especially in Kingston, but not for townhouses, okay? And if that was in 2019, and if that is a fact, then it would have to be, a bit more chronic now. And with what the Water Commission is saying, based on what Lenworth was saying, and we do drive around and we do see it, and we don't see a lot of apartments being occupied, one has to wonder, well, first of all, were they all sold? And even if they're all sold, how long can these persons continue to maintain the mortgage payments, even though mortgage rates are relatively low? I'd like to know who can jump in and add some clarity to this. And in this section, we welcome persons contradicting each other. We welcome that. We just do it respectfully, and just get into the discussion. Now, who would like to take on that in terms of adding some clarity to those comments by Peter Russo and Anya Levy?
I would like to say something about that. Yes, you can say that driving around, you don't see many lights on, and how long can people possibly hold out without, making a mortgage payment or getting a rental income to pay that mortgage or paying the maintenance for that matter in these complexes, which are sometimes quite significant. However, a lot of these places are being bought with cash. There's no financing required, and people have been able to sit down. They also, a lot of the mortgage companies last year, I'm not sure how many have continued it, gave a moratorium on payments. So they put it off and gave people, a certain amount of time before they had to pay it based on the COVID situation. So what I would say is that, yes, there are complexes that don't look fully occupied, which is what I had mentioned earlier about the rentals, that we have an oversupply of rentals, yes. But not all of those situations are financed where people have mortgages that need to be paid. A lot of the units that we have sold, and I'm speaking from Valerie Levin Associates personally, have been in cash. And a lot of those units have been sold outright. The complexes are fully sold out. And quite often, those complexes are sold out before they even break ground or before even the complex is partially finished. So I would just say that, again, even commercial, as my other panelists were saying, commercial is very hot right now. People are asking for warehouses. People are asking for warehouses with a combination office. And we just see a demand for certain things. I would agree to say that what David was saying as well, and Lenworth, about the lower income, that definitely has to be addressed. We definitely do not have the supply to address the lower income affordable housing. We need that. But for what is on the market right now, all island, from Montego Bay, Mandeville, Otrios, Kingston, all over, Spanish Town, St. Thomas even, the developments are significant and we still see a demand for them. Again, if the housing were more affordable, that would be great because people would be able to qualify. But a lot of these units have been bought straight out cash. Now, if that helps any at all.
Okay, well, before anybody jumps in, which I invite, but the whole point about, is it the mix? Are we getting the mix wrong? Because, well, even some of what has been said already suggests that we're getting the mix wrong. Now, if all of these apartments, and Lenworth said a one bedroom is going for like 18 million, and a lot of people can't afford it. So the question is, why are we getting the mix so wrong? There's always more profit at the upper end. We know that. But at some point, is the demand for that particular class of or category, is it going to dwindle?
Stuart, may I interject? David, please. The government is not in the Kingston market. They're not developing. They've left it. It is now in the hands of private developers, and that's why it's totally profit driven. Do not expect anything to come in at a price point that's affordable to a single buyer or that. Kingston is just a higher price market now.
And that's where the population is. So, the thing is, even if that is the attractive segment to build for, how sustainable is it? Are we saying that we don't need to worry about it being sustainable?
If I could come in, I think the issue is, yes, this is Michael Archer. I'm say evening to my colleague Lenworth. But I speak from the point of view of the developer. Yes, I think the question is the boom real and will it bust? It is real and it won't bust for a while unless there is dramatic change in fiscal and government policy that would basically create the situation that exists. Right now, developers and all entrepreneurs seek to try to get into to businesses and activities that give them the highest return. There is a significant demand across the island, not just for low-income housing, but for all types of housing. If you look at the North Coast, and it's driven by a number of things. It's driven, one, by the fact that there is a lot more stability in the economy. There is a lot more money in the economy. A lot of privately owned capital and institutional capital have nowhere to go. They no longer can buy government paper, and buying US dollar is becoming risky. And so a lot more investors, not homeowner per se, are now looking to real estate to store their wealth, or to at least buffet against the vagaries of economic decline. Hence the high income units that are going up. People say that there is a large, there's a saturation of apartments, etc. Maybe for the people who are seeking to acquire a house for as a first investment for housing purposes. For the investor from overseas or the local investor with spare capital that has bought as much foreign exchange as he can, the next safest investment is to put that in the real estate. Hence, I think it's Lorraine who is saying that a lot of these high income developments are actually being purchased for cash. And a lot of them are being purchased by people in the diaspora. And I know of a lot of them that I'm involved with, that I was saying to the owners that you can't get $1 million for that. And somebody from Canada see it on the local media and buys it cash. So I think that is one issue. I should also add that because of the significant, not really significant, but the, let's say significant increase in infrastructure investment by government, low interest rates. When you look at Paddington and you look at Ligonier, and you look at all those areas that normally, and because of town planning changes that have moved from 35 habitable rooms to 50, to some places 75 habitable rooms, it is now very profitable for developers, for investors to go into real estate. What I think will happen is when that market gets saturated, there will be enough capacity in the market that people will start to look at where else can I make money. There is an enormous demand for low-income housing. I mean, I did a project and they're around 600% demand over the number of units that were done. So there's an enormous demand there. But for now, the capacity is gravitating towards the area in the market where they get the highest return. Once that is saturated, and if the fundamentals remain and government continue to invest in infrastructure, more water supply systems, more, I expect downtown Kingston with that water line now going down Spanish Town Road across Kingston will make a lot of East Kingston now attractive to developers. The only thing we have to get now under control is the crime. And that is when I think the demand will spread out and a larger, instead of just high income, where it will spread out more to other income groups. But there's a unsatiable demand now at all levels of the market. And if the fundamentals, the economic fundamentals remain, we will continue to see this boom into the next 3-4 years.
Thank you, Michael. Roberto, how would you like to put in your 2 cents on this part of the discussion?
In this case, for this one, even I'm not the developer. So in this case, I'm the one that supplies. From what I have seen is that I will agree with Mike. I believe that there's still room. Yes, and someone was saying, you were saying about the mix, if we're doing the incorrect mix. I don't believe it's completely straight like that. What I believe is that, yes, right now that maybe it's more focused into the segment that is happening, the high-rise building and the concentration here in Kingston. But that one can continue, while at the same time, the affordable housing can start peaking. So I don't believe that it's just about the incorrect mix, because in this case, there's a demand for the other units as well. It's just that if we do the other ones, I believe that the market could be even a little bit more stronger.
DP Stuart, I'll just add a comment here, having
sure, go ahead.
Worked at the National Housing Trust. There was actually a plan to develop the eastern section of the city and some inner city areas with urban renewal. And this is not squatter settlements. This is clearing lands and providing high-rise units or apartments like what has been done in Trenchtown and some of those areas. But the political imperative and reality is that if you look at a Delacree Park, which is a very old scheme, and if you look at another one on Olympic Gardens, those were successful because they had a mix between local residents and, let's say, public sector employees. So you didn't have a scheme where everyone was at the poverty line, and jobs were created by the very same public sector workers who would have daycare and other services that they would need. So those 2 schemes have survived, but all the others have failed because the persons have not really, they're actually made to qualify. And because you don't have that economic mix, the era degenerates and the crime also continues. So it just becomes garrisonized. The other point I would make is that the Rent Restriction Act and the current legislation does not encourage many people to risk domestic rental, because the time to get a court date and the whole process of eviction in a country that doesn't have winter is very onerous. And invariably, the person may even jeopardize their mortgage loan. So there are a number of factors which, if government addresses them in terms of social housing, but affordable mix, the public sector, I'm just using a sector, say public sector workers. I think Colleen Court is of Olympic Way. You can have a sustainable housing development. Delacree Park was built in the 80s, right? And Delacree Park, or maybe the late 70s. And it still has withstood its character. So the Kingston restoration, private sector and government were to develop from downtown, say Orange Street, going back to the east, with mixed solutions. Like Japan, where you have the residences on the lane and you have the businesses on the main street, etc. There are many examples. But because there was not a view, the political view at the time from a particular member of parliament was that he was just bent on housing, affordable housing for all the persons resident in the area, and he wasn't warm to the mix. So the private sector pulled out. So you will have a number of places empty. And unless the Airbnb, of course, provided that new opportunity. But many persons have their residences locked because of that also risk in terms of rental. So there are a number of solutions, but government policy drives housing and they can provide the interim financing, etc. But the model that is used has to be sustainable.
I was reading something where it said that NHT has approximately 50% of the mortgage market in Jamaica, whether in combination or by themselves.
Already has purchased significant tracts of land west of Bellevue in that whole downtown area, which they can develop. But I'm just saying the land banking program has to have a plan with a mixed solution, so that when you do put down the buildings, the mortgages are sustainable, the electricity will be paid, etc.
Yes. Well, I think where I was going with that though is that I tried to get somebody from NHT to join us this evening, but that didn't quite work out. But I've seen where they have done a lot in terms of reducing interest rates, both for new and for existing loans, and also having discounts for special, age categories. So since they are still spending a lot and supporting the mortgage market, is it being felt? Why isn't it being felt more in Kingston?
No, because the lower income contributor, if you look at the percentage of lower income contributors who actually get a mortgage, it would be very interesting to see who really qualifies and who gets what, because of the pricing as well. And every time the loan limits increase, the market price
goes up.
So the government can do developments or interim finance within prescribed parameters, but the mortgage solution mix is another issue. Yes.
Let me bring in Lenworth here, because I know that they have a program where they take a percentage of the units that a developer may put up, providing they are doing it at a price point that their contributors will afford. Lenworth, can you speak a little bit to I don't know if you have had any exposure with the NHT, but could you add something to that part of the discussion?
I might maybe more experience with this, but what I know is that for developers, when you're delivering units for NHT, just when you're delivering units, one of the main things you have to consider is the cost of the land and the infrastructure. That is going to be the same, you just can't change that. And the NHT has some parameters they want you to operate within. Now, if you can deliver in mass housing within their parameters, they'll take all of it. You can't. So the thing is that you can deliver within ranges, and there are some developers that operate in that space, like the Wiccans, the Kempets, and the Gores. And what people will do is, okay, fine. So NHT, if 2 persons get together, 3 persons, they can come up with maybe 18 million. They might do a 3-bedroom within that range. That kind of thing, or a 2-bedroom close to a range that 2 persons can join up and get. So you really don't need to have an arrangement with the NHT. If your units are affordable enough, people will go to the NHT and borrow the money and purchase the units.
Okay. Let's take a look at I know we're touched on the overseas market, but is it and the Airbnb, that kind of thing? Are some of these persons, did they invest in some of these units because they were expecting to rent them out short term to Airbnb visitors? Do you think some of that is part of where the demand was coming from, and we expect that some of that will come back after the pandemic has eased? Who wants to give a comment there?
I don't know if I could come in here. I don't want to seem to be dominating.
Go right ahead, Mike. That's one reason why I wanted you here.
But there are 2 things you have to look at, The market need to provide goods and services to the people who can afford it. And when that is done, and you create, and housing is a store of wealth. I will say to you that the people who are in Harborview now, who have some equity in those houses that they have paid off a long time ago, if there are some higher income units developed along Rockfort area, for example, a lot of those persons could be encouraged to buy new units in that higher income group and make available the Harborview units for the people who can't afford a new private developed unit. I accept the argument that the housing trusts need to be more aggressive in terms of dealing with the lower end of the market. But Kingston is the only city in the Caribbean where their waterfront property is the low-income area of the city. The only city in the Caribbean. I think it was a mistake to build out into low-income housing. That's where all those condominiums going up in Jacksonville and Millsboro and all over should be going on the waterfront. And we should be areas adjoining, Vineyard Town, Almond Town, those places should be Midland low-income housing that is basically stimulated by the intervention of the housing trust. And that would force greater crime control, which would allow those areas, because people invest in 600,000, well, US, 60 million, 40 million, $50 million in a condominium on the waterfront would not tolerate the kind of lack of their backyard. And if you want to expand and keep sustained this housing boom, as you call it, we need more infrastructure in infrastructure, and we need to allow the private sector to maximize their return in relation to any type of housing out there that will attract purchasers.
Thank you. Could we have a motion for extension of time and to allow for questions?
Sorry, it took up so much time.
Section.
So President.
15 minutes. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. I want to touch a little bit on prices, because one of the signals about one of the signals has to do with how prices are moving. I wonder whether Lorraine or David would like to come in there. What are you seeing in terms of prices in the direction in which they are moving?
Okay, Stuart. The prices are moving, but not moving as fast as the dollar. If you index all of the prices to the US dollar, they aren't moving that fast.
Okay. And Lorraine, would you say in your case that anything you have to sell is no problem to sell? I mean, is that really the state at the brokerage level?
Relatively speaking, I wouldn't say all across the board. There are some units that are significantly higher that take a little longer to move. But what we do find is that there's a certain price range that comes in, anywhere between, I would say, from 30 million even up to 90 million. right? If you get a good single family home in a lovely area, they go for over what the asking price is. And as David had mentioned earlier, valuers are having a very difficult time keeping up with comparables. They're hard to find because what the market is doing and what the comps are saying are totally different. So it is very difficult for valuers right now to keep up with that, because we can get a single family house and we get multiple bids in well over what the asking price is, well over what a valuer would consider a good value for it. So I do think that, there are certain price ranges. There are certain things that come in. Again, 1-bedroom units, 2-bedroom units, 2-bedroom townhouses, 3-bedroom townhouses, and not say in a new development, but already, developments that have been around for a long time. And those units do not remain on the market for more than, I would say, a week. We have that kind of turnaround in that price range and in that type of product, being, again, a townhouse or an apartment, even a single family house. Single family houses right now are very hot. I do feel that people want to stay in Jamaica. People are, with the pandemic, they've realized that they want to make their homes lovely. As Roberto had said, people are expanding. So we find people are being house proud. They're putting on a pool, they're putting on a gym, they're putting on an entertainment room or a room where the kids can do their studies, do online, where people can work. They're putting in home offices. So NHT has also put in for home improvement. So we find that people are accessing these and making good use of them to better their homes and expand like that,
Okay, thank you. I want to bring in another one of my specially invited guests, Lloyd Distant, DLG Lloyd. I'd like to, if I want to see how you can fit, because I know that you look at certain things from an economic point of view in terms of the overall economy, and how would you tie what you're seeing there in terms of what is happening in the macroeconomy to what we're looking at in the housing? Maybe I'd like to have your perspective on that.
So DP Stewart, I would say I have continued to be a bit challenged with matching up this demand. And again, it's real demand. We have heard from the experts and the people in the field right here. I've continued to have had a bit of a challenge matching up this demand and the increase in prices and valuing and the fighting over what almost seems like scarce benefits in a period when so many persons have indicated that their income has been depressed. In some instances, I think the average, this morning we actually came up with the business and consumer confidence indices, and I believe somewhere in the region of 23 to 26% of people have indicated that their income is currently depressed. And so where's this money coming from to afford these ongoing increase in prices? And I know Lorraine identified the pension funds and similar ilk, and of course we have heard about the monies coming in from the diaspora as well. So it would appear to me to be, and again, this is all supposition on my part, that persons with disposable income or resources that are looking for a home could likely be parking it in real estate as against putting money into investing in what I would term real productive capacity, manufacturing, agriculture, those areas. And so it's persons looking to park their money in a safe place, decent return, obviously, versus putting it into areas of real productive capacity. And that's, again, just one element of the market. So, but, without hard numbers, it's hard for me to provide any definitive statement. The Bank of Jamaica, in their report, but it had been their 2020 report, which was being circulated by many last week, indicated that there's real demand, there's real money there chasing the demand. So from the Bank of Jamaica's perspective, there is no surprise that the buoyancy that we're continuing to see in the real estate market is real and will and they would have indicated there's no indication that it's going to be depressed at this point in time. And I know I might not be answering your question directly, but you know, from where I sit, those are the things that sort of been percolating over the last 6 to 9 months, and most definitely since hearing the business and consumer indices results this morning. First, the job results 2 days ago, and then the business and consumer indications this morning. We still have to clear that. I shouldn't say that we need to, but certainly we would want to see the question of affordability and getting more Jamaicans to buy houses. Certainly that's where I want to see things head. Again, you know, without getting real productive capacity up, I think that's going to be difficult.
If I could just interject.
Go right ahead,
Economics 101. Supply and demand determine price. The fact that prices continue to go up suggests that there is great demand and there is not sufficient supply.
Yes, I don't think anybody can argue with that.
Yeah,
you know,
no debate.
Also, I saw also where the Bank of Jamaica, I don't know if somebody had put the question to one of the governors or so on, but that I saw something in paper, it was April 5th this year, where they were specifically saying there's no bubble in housing, you know, but they went on to say that some buyers are unable to afford what is being put out. Now, that sounds a little contradictory to me, but I guess that is kind of double speak. But at least they were not expressing any concern that there was anything to worry about. And even what Michael is saying, you know, clearly there is a demand. Now the question, going forward and looking, because what we admit that what is going on, we see it, but how much longer? Some people think a couple of years, so we don't need to worry about it now. But I'm not sure. Is it now the government's role to kind of bridge the gap so that the people who really need it can find something to afford, that they can afford?
If government continue to invest in infrastructure and continue to control the fiscal space where it's stable, interest rates are low, the NHT have a lot of money that can intervene. The market has been bumped up by the fact that every budget cycle, the government has in fact reduced the cost of mortgages, which forced the building societies and the other financial institutions to do likewise. And if the market remains stable, this is not a problem that is just from now manifesting itself in Jamaica. And there's a similar debate going on in the US because housing prices are now ticking up because investors are now getting into the housing market because of concerns about the stability of the stock market. So once we continue to have stable economic, despite the downturn, but you know, we're not into the business of jacking up interest rates anymore to mop up dollars. And if government continue to invest as they are and accelerate investment in infrastructure, more water supply, more sewer systems, more highways, the whole of St. Thomas is now poised for major housing development because once that highway is complete, and if the government likewise invest and the market will take care of itself, government must intervene at the NHT level to deal with the affordability question at the low end of the market. And if that is done, we will continue to have this boom as described for some time going forward.
Can I
want
ask a question, please? Can I ask
Okay,
a
who is
Hector,
okay.
I did
Go
put
ahead.
a question in the chat. I haven't seen it responded to.
No, we haven't reached the question and answer section yet.
Okay.
But since
So
you are on,
my concern,
you can still bring it in.
my question really is directed to either the developers. Listening to how the market is structured and what is happening in the different segments, we agree that there's a demand and also a good level of affordability for lower price units. St. Catherine offers opportunity for that for that segment of the market, given availability of land and given invitations from the housing trust and the government. So my question, why are private developers not taking on that opportunity to provide houses for that lower, that 18 million, I'd say 12 to 18 $million affordable category?
All right,
NHT is providing opportunities in terms of providing land and will take up the units as they are constructed.
Okay, there's an obvious response that I can mention, but then I'm going to, which is that if the profit margin is greater among higher priced units and there is a demand for higher priced units, that is the reason why they are doing what they are doing. But let me ask any of our panelists if they would like to answer the question more specifically.
I can take I'll go at this one, I'm sure. Remember that there are developers who operate almost solely in that space, you know.
The big developers, the Matalans and Wicca.
Yeah, because
and Chemtech on the North Coast.
Yeah, the big developers, the Gore and Wicca in St. Catherine.
No, I thought you were asking another question, you know, so I was just no, so where I'm going with this is when you get to the NHT range, what we have found traditionally is you want detached housing, but you want a house. So you need to have the land bank, you need to, and it has to be large enough to allow the cost per unit to fall within the range. So if you are near to Kingston with your vehicles, you're running a risk trying to build for NHT there. You can probably try to do some apartments or some semi-detached row townhouses to try and meet that, because obviously the value of that land is going to be much higher. So you have to give that some consideration. You mentioned also that the NHT has land, but we have gone into scenarios, examined some of these lands, and based on the terrain, what the infrastructure cost would be, it's just a no-no. So we had to just shelf it because you couldn't proceed. Because remember now, you want to recover costs plus profit. It just wasn't worth it. So unless government comes with some major incentives to incentivize the developers to come, whether you say you're going to be like how they have done for some who are operating here from distant lands. So whether you're going to say, okay, it's going to be duty free, we're going to waive some transfer taxes and some of these things. So you put incentives in there because the investors will go if it's worth their while. If they will go there, you won't have an issue. They will go there. One of my beef, I must add, this has nothing to do with the discussion. We can't keep building on our agricultural lands.
All right.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Thank you.
I wanna, let me just ask Newton, I know you're listening. Are there any questions in the chat that you think we could bring in now? Any questions that were written in? I know you're monitoring it for me.
All right. Just look.
I have a question.
Well, somebody had a, okay, let's, that's all. Grandson.
Did you see one? I'll take yours and then I'll go back. I go to Ralston.
All right, well, what you could do is take PDT and then let me find one.
Okay. Okay. Go ahead, Ralston.
Yeah, my concern is that, and I agree that a lot of the low-income housing is not being addressed, which is where the greatest part of the bands are. But when you go into places like Grosvenor Terrace, where years ago you had covenant building for single family homes, and then suddenly you have 5- and 6-story apartments coming into the area. And there seems to be no regulation governing the covenants that existed before. Is there some order to the development? That's my question.
Sorry, I'm not sure if I'm clear. Say it again, Ralston. I'm not sure if I got it.
I'm saying.
If I could answer.
Go ahead, Mike.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, Mike.
You remember the Prime Minister's budget speech? And has to take place along the Constant Spring corridor to justify the infrastructure that was put on Constant Spring Road. What they have done without any consultation with the community in Grosvenor is increase the density, the allowable density in the area, which does two things. It increases the price of land, which then causes the tax roll costs of the land to go up, and it entices developers who now can translate a single family unit into 18 or 20 units, for which he makes a significant return. So the question is, and the Prime Minister say, if enough of those developments don't happen, so that Water Commission revenue can go up in terms of sewage connections and water supply connections, then I'm going to tax you. So what I'm saying is that government strategy is more infrastructure, stable economy, fiscal environment to force that kind of development. What I think they should be doing is forcing that development in downtown Kingston.
There's the same road coming out of Grosvenor, no improvement to the road.
Yeah, but sewer is right at the corner of Grosvenor. It is no longer 35 habitable rooms, it's 75 now.
5, yeah.
Stuart,
okay. Yes, go ahead. Go ahead, then.
The note, and I know
let me just say one thing before you come in. We want to kind of work towards winding down in the next 10 minutes. So keep that in mind. Go ahead, Lenworth.
All right, just to be quick, we have found in a lot of instances where the densities have been increased without the attendant improvement in infrastructure. It seems to have just been arbitrary, and I have on record to say that's absolute stupidity. We're going to have issues later on. Transport, sewer, water, but we're going to have issues.
So where does town planning and all of these people come into it? I mean, I thought this was something that they're supposed to work out and know what the densities are, etc., etc. Are you saying it's just not happening?
Just to be quick, Stuart, when they were doing the development orders, I believe NEPA, driven by NEPA, they met with various stakeholders. Here among that, you really have to listen to the citizens in the various areas. You have to, you must. So you can meet with the JCC, the PSOJ, the IMAJ, and whoever. But we live in different communities, so you must meet with these people. I mean, it's a no-brainer. We're going to end up in cases where you're trying to get out of your yard and you can't come out on the road. yes, the sewer is improved along Constance Spring Road and the water, but it's the same road. And until we have mass transit, we can have some form of mobility, because that's really what we need. You know, people need to be able to move, not necessarily in a car, but you can get to where you need to go. That also has to be addressed. It's a part of infrastructure. You don't have to be able to drive your car there, but you need to be able to get there. So these are some. So a lot of it is backward. It warrants another discussion. So we won't spend too much time on that this evening.
Lenworth, I saw something. I don't know which year it was, but you were speaking wearing your hat as president of the IMAJ, where you're talking about that some of the expansion or of the city, or I don't know if you can remind me of how what you are saying, but it seems to be similar to what the point you're making now. There was a time when the UDC was the kind of linchpin in terms of planning what was done in the city. I know it still exists, but I don't hear them as much. You know, elaborate on that point, because you're very concerned.
Well, it's the same point I'm making. Just condensing it. I don't know. The UDC seem to have just become more like a landlord. I mean, for want of a better term, I don't know. Mike is senior to me in this thing. He be what is their mandate and so on. But as I said, Stuart, it needs a discussion. You can't import things on your citizenry without getting their feedback, hearing from them as stakeholders. You're treading on dangerous ground. You're treading on dangerous ground. You can't just force things on people into their communities. Listen to them, hear what they have to say, and then provide we don't have a proper development plan of what will the city look like. What is the city? What is Jamaica supposed to look like? Where will the densities be allowed? Where we have green spaces? You understand that kind of thing? We don't see that, but we see this hodgepodge, a high rise here and a high rise there. And that's crazy. We can't develop like that.
David, look, yes.
Look at Paddington as an example.
Sorry, Mike. So, who was kind of coming in a while ago? Who was trying to say something a while ago?
Yeah, Roy. As an architect and an urban designer, I totally agree with Kelly. With Lenny, that's what his name. Mm-hmm. Right? Yes, the sewer and the water might be there, but transportation is key to move people, right? I mean, we have the same thing here in Brampton and Terre, but the transportation, the bus route is planned even before the house is being built, right? And there's no sense increase of density when you can't move people. And another thing, you have to involve the stakeholders. You have to get the people, when we're doing plans and urban design projects, the community come together and we have a charade where everybody contributes and put in their 10-cent worth.
Mike, you were trying to say something?
Yeah, I'm agreeing with all of that. And I was just creating a scenario. So as they expanded the highway, Barbican Road and Paddington, a headmaster who lived there and now discovers that the land value has now gone up to $50 million. He's on pension and now he's having a difficulty paying his land tax. He's now forced to sell that to a developer, right? Who can afford to buy it at 50 million and probably move to Havendale. And then that developer, in order to get back that investment, going to put up a 6-story high rise.
Yes.
And now the government is saying that they now have to extend that Barbican Road expansion all the way down to King's House Road. And then when it gets down to there, the log jam that is down there, nobody figures out how that's gonna be fixed. And they're talking about Waterloo Road and Halfway Tree. So there is an impact on the lack of and the actual provision of infrastructure without any proper coordinated plan. And people get hurt. I mean, the guys on Paddington who can no longer afford their house, who thought they were retiring in comfort, are aggrieved and rightly so. But that is the impact of haphazard development planning, urban planning.
I want to try and get David in here. David, as a evaluator, I'm trying to see how your role, okay, you're not, I don't think you're into urban planning, but when you look at valuing, how do these other infrastructural issues bear on how you come out, how your numbers come out? I just want to see if you can make an input there.
Stuart, it's very simple. Michael and Len had just said it. When you have upzoning taking place, it will result in land prices surging forward, and it's like the core principle. They no longer can afford to live in the neighborhood. That's the yin and the yang of the boom. Many will win and some are going to lose. It's the prisoner's dilemma. But so we're seeing that actively. And it creates some issues in neighborhoods. Yes, I actually work on some as a real estate expert, court-appointed expert in covenant modifications, and I've seen where some prevail, and I see a lot that are that people are hurt and they suffer damages, and injury to their use of property and many things. But this all comes with urbanization, and these are things that over time will become more court issues.
Okay, as we wind down, I just want to give some last comments for Lorraine and Roberta, if you want to add something at this stage. But let me ask Lorraine. The discussion has kind of morphed, but we still want to end up with some kind of a conclusion. So, but I'd like to give Lorraine the floor.
Could I just ask the questions that I wanted her to answer? Andrea Moore, Kiwanis from New Kingston.
Okay.
All right. So the question I wanted to ask Lorraine was, did she find, or has she found rather, that the uptake of properties in recent times, particularly from our diaspora Jamaicans, whether it has anything to do with the US dollar slide, as it were, and therefore it's more valuable to them in that regard?
Thank you for your question. Yes, that is part of it. It's very attractive to persons overseas, whether they're in Canada, the United States, England. By the time they convert the money here, it goes very far. So yes, that's definitely one of the factors of the diaspora coming back to Jamaica, investing in Jamaica. A lot of them made the money. Somebody earlier, I think Lloyd had said, a lot of people were hit hard last year. So how is it that we had such a great year in real estate? Well, the people didn't make the money last year. The people weren't making the money last year. People have been saving, they've been investing. The stock market has been hot. Again, the mortgage rates have come down significantly over the last few years. So there's a lot of factors. A lot of the diaspora knows about Airbnb long before we have. It's been around for quite some time overseas. in Europe and in North America. So yes, people did invest hoping that they would have had the same return with the Airbnb. And I do feel it will come back. You know, everything is sort of getting a little bit more calm, you know, with the vaccinations and everything, with people traveling. I do feel that the Airbnb market, maybe not so much for this year, but maybe later in the year or early next year, I do feel that will come back. But yes, definitely, that was part of the reason that people invested in Jamaica, not just the diaspora, but overseas that are non-Jamaicans that have invested in Jamaica. Jamaica is one of the most beautiful countries in the world. You know, people are warm when they come here. They know how our hospitality is, and they want a piece of Jamaica. So people have seen that. And with all the lockdown, it looks like a great travel destination, and their money has gone extremely far in Jamaica. So I would say that it's not just Jamaicans from the diaspora, it's foreigners who have also invested. And we also have the locals who, again, have made money, young professionals who have pooled their money together, young couples starting out, pension funds. We also have older persons who have, you know, saved money and they want to maybe scale down. So maybe they are the ones that have sold this house that yielded way more than they thought that it could, just like the gentleman was saying on Paddington Terrace, and then scale down a little bit and bought an apartment, something more manageable. And those are what we're seeing. Those are the trends. And I do believe that lower income has to be addressed by town planning. It has to be addressed by the government. Keep in mind the developers that we're talking about are private developers who have paid a lot of money for this land. With the zonings that have changed, with the density that has changed, they're going to want to capitalize on that and make the most that they can, which is unfortunately not by working to help build homes through NHT, as most of the, you know, other people on tonight have mentioned. So I hope that answers your question.
Okay, and as we wrap, I want to ask Roberto if he has any, you know, he's sitting there at this position. He just needs to sell more cement. I mean, that's one of the things he wants to do. How
I will be pleased to do it.
Go ahead.
No, well, in this case, as I was mentioning before, and according to Lorraine comments, Mike, David, and also Lenroy, I do agree. Yes, it requires proper planning. The traffic, it could become an issue. You have seen it in major cities where they come to, or they started building much more high rise. So it's something that needs to be addressed from now, once we're seeing this becoming more often. But on the other hand, it seems that it's a reality that this tendency will continue. I'm happy for that, and I will hope and make my praise for the same. But in this case, it seems that the tendencies are showing positive outcomes, even in really difficult times. And as most of you have said, people, you know, instead of investing maybe in the stocks, they have decided to go to real estate, which I believe is at this moment, it seems to be a safer bet. Still, we know that there's a need. So that's why, and as some of you were saying, I believe that at least for a couple of years, it should be fine, continue with this positive tendency. What can come into the future, we don't know. There's still uncertainty, but it seems that at least the tendencies are showing positive numbers.
Okay, and then one last thing. Sure. Okay. Let me just clear something first. Newton, is there anything in the chat that you just wanted that we need to answer?
No, over the period of that exchange, we basically answered.
We have covered it. Okay, chat, right? Good. So the person who wanted to ask a question now, let us take that one and then we wrap.
All right. Good night, everybody. All right. Well, I understand the fact that from time indefinite, coal and housing has been a method of storing wealth. I totally understand. And I understand the fact that persons who were here in Jamaica that were born in the 70s, they're looking to come back to Jamaica. Their investment in the country is a necessary factor of economic development at this point in time, right? So young professionals now have been having severe difficulties in terms of acquiring land or houses, right? What is there a way that we could cap like for a particular zone in Jamaica for just persons of lower income stature, just to say, all right, this is the area that they'll make houses, low income houses for. Is there any way that can be legally done?
I cannot
Legally.
I can just add one comment there. Like, if I'm not wrong, part of the plan of this scheme of the 70,000 houses that the government has, it includes in a certain way some flexibility in the cost of the land. I don't have many details, but if I'm not wrong, that's how they will try to achieve this affordable housing. Of course, as you're saying, it will depend on in specific locations, on areas where they can facilitate a good or cost-efficient land, while also providing a solution for people. It cannot be as really far from the city centers in a certain way, or from Kingston, Mortingo Bay, where most of the business is happening. But if I'm not wrong, that's something that is being analyzed as part of all this initiative to building the 70,000 houses in 5 years. Okay.
Thank you. And with that, let me just say that we started off with the, positing the question, is the real estate boom for real? And I think we can conclude that yes, it's real. As to how long it will continue, most people tend to agree that we have a few more years before we have to worry about it. But clearly there are some concerns that are not being addressed from a national point of view in terms of where the need is. And, somebody said that need and demand, they're not always the same. So since we are not the government officials, we can't solve the problems here, but we hope that we have at least shed some light on some of the problems that exist. And for those of you who want to invest in real estate, well, maybe it's quite okay. You can park your money and probably reach some decent returns. So at this time, I'm going to ask Director Newton, who is going to do the vote of thanks. And we have our panel, but we did have two specially invited guests, which was Michael and Lloyd. So we can include them in your references, Newton.
Okay, thank you, DP Stewart. David Thwaites, Lorraine Levy-Finderson, Lenworth Kelly, Roberto Villarreal. We can't leave out Mike Archer and Lloyd Stant, even if DP Stewart didn't say that, but I'm glad I can say it up front. Thank you. We have to thank, it's not very often that we have a panel of 4, much less 6 persons who are experts in the field of what they are doing, and we have them all on at the same time, and they are giving us some real good advice. You have taken 134 real estate enthusiasts, because that's how many other persons were listening in on this, between Zoom and WhatsApp, and on YouTube. So you have taken 134 real estate enthusiasts, and you have turned us into informed real estate observers. We really, really, really need to say thank you for all you have presented tonight. As a people, we often take pleasure in speaking with authority about subjects that we have little knowledge about. But tonight we have heard from the experts. Because of the field that you're in, you all took it from a different angle, but I noticed you all converged on the same point. And what's the point? The real estate market in Jamaica is booming. It is for real. It is expected to continue booming, but it needs to be managed, and attention needs to be paid to the need more so than to the demand. What more can I say? You have all said it all. On behalf of the Kiwanis Club of Kingston, I want to say thank you. DP Stewart, I don't know.
Yes.
Listen
I
so
have
intently.
the certificates, but I
Okay.
needed to share screen.
Okay.
I was trying to get the. That's when.
Go ahead.
Am I able to share?
Share DP, Stuart.
Okay. So for.
Are you seeing that one?
I am not seeing it.
No, we're not.
But while you're doing that, DP Stewart, let me just say that the certificate of appreciation from the Kiwanis Club of Kingston. I know our panelists prefer to have certificates of land title. We don't have any land title to give you tonight, but what we have is a certificate of appreciation for each panelist. It's well deserved. As we say, in monetary value, it may not be valued as much as a land title, but with the affection and the sincerity with which it's given, it holds that store of value. So once again, I say to the panelists and our invited guests, thank you for a great evening. And, you know, I hope sometime in the future, this conversation will continue. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
And this is just the virtual part. We are going to get the certificates to you in physical form. So thank you once again.
Thank you, Stuart, and you're all very welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm a member, you see, so I participate as a member.
Thank you.
That's right. Thanks again.
Always with us.
And Lloyd.
It was great. It was great to be part of this discussion. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. We'll go back to the next agenda item. We now hand over to DP Earl Spencer, Sergeant at Arms.
Sorry, DP Stewart, try and end your presentation here.
Yeah, let me do that.
You're sharing.
Yeah, one sec.
Good night, everybody. This was a very enlightening discussion, and I hope what I have to say after this will also be enlightening, although from a different perspective. And I'm not mentioning anything about land. I'm a grosses. I see a lot of things that are happening that shouldn't be happening, but I leave the panelists took care of that. Who has ever heard of the word paraprosdokion? I took weeks to pronounce it, and I haven't done it for quite a while, so I'm struggling through it again. It actually is a figure of speech in which the latter part of a sentence or phrase is surprising or unexpected in a way that causes the reader to rephrase his first part. For example, the last thing I want to do is hurt you, but it's still on my list. And things like, if I agreed with you, we'd both be wrong. But I've been thinking of things like, knowledge is knowing a tomato is a fruit, and wisdom is not putting it into a fruit salad. Things like that. I wanted a career. I thought I wanted a career. It turns out I just wanted to pay checks. You know, those are paraprosdokions. A clear conscience, it is said, is usually the sign of a bad memory. And they say money can't buy happiness, but it sure makes misery easier to live with. And they say some cause happiness wherever they go, others whenever they go. With all of these things, they said nostalgia is not what it used to be. But I like this one that leads people along the way. One day while walking by St. Paul's, a lady grabbed me. That's years ago. You look like one of great pluck. Come with me and have a quick cup of tea. It might be a penny, it might be a bob. It just depends on the size of your cup. I leave you with those thoughts.
Thank you, Sarge. We now invite DLG William, our secretary, to bring notices and announcements and interclubbing opportunities. and any visiting clubs may also wish to make mention of their events.
Thank you, President Richard.
We can remind everyone of our Barbie Fry. Yes.
Well, since you mentioned that, I just reminded, it's the last Friday in May. Tickets are now in circulation. The price is $1,800. Other announcement, the Eastern Canada and Caribbean Virtual District Convention is being held between 14th of May to the 15th. Registration is 25 Canadian dollars. So far, two members have registered. The Kiwanis International Leadership Education Conference is being held in Salt Lake City from June 23rd.
DLG Willie, you're muted.
In place of the International Convention, we also have started a for the St. Vincent Volcano Drive. Online payments can be made to the club's charity account. So far, we have received donations and pledges of $45,000. I just got good news. Between three key clubs, three of our key clubs, we have raised over $100,000. I think they should be commended.
Excellent, excellent.
In terms of inter-clubbing opportunities, tomorrow, the Kiwanis Club of Trafalgar meets at 7 o'clock. Their guest speaker is District Secretary Treasurer Jim Steele, who will be speaking on the Eastern Caribbean Convention in May, as well as the Kiwanis International Leadership Education Training in June. Tomorrow as well, Kiwanis Club of Cable Beach, Bahamas meets at 7:30, but that'd be 6:30 Jamaican time. And on Friday, the Kiwanis Club of Sunshine City will be having a fireside chat with the two candidates for Kiwanis International Trustee. That's our own distinguished Governor Hope Marks and past Governor Phil Rossi from Canada. President Richard, that is basically all the notices and interclub opportunities.
Thank you.
Just again, annual charity Barbie Fry, May 28th. Please get your tickets. I will send out something tomorrow to all our members to remind you where you can get your tickets. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you very much. We have 2 items left. We now invite DP Stuart Spencer for the thought for the week, and after we move to the termination.
I knew we were gonna be long, so I didn't prepare for the thoughts because I knew we were gonna have a long evening. So next week we'll return with the thoughts.
Yes, okay. Well, fellow Kiwanians, our guest presenters and guests, I'm going to ask you to raise your glasses in a toast to Kiwanis International.
Jamaica land we love.
This meeting of the Kiwanis Club of Kingston is hereby terminated.